All right, what's going on, y'all? Welcome back to the No Name College Ball Podcast. It is week 13. Why does this keep on? Okay, there we go. It is week 13, final week of the regular season before conference championship weekend. But we're just going to get right into it. We're going to talk about last week real quick, very briefly. Not a lot happened. Not a ton happened. We'll go over some games that we picked last week, and then we'll preview this week. Before we get into last week real quick, rankings came out last night. Going to show those real quick. Notable things: Washington jumped Florida State up to 4, and a bunch of things did not change after that. A bunch of teams just went up one spot here with some losses. Oregon State falls 5 spots after they lost to Washington. Iowa falls 1 spot after winning, which was kind of funny to me. Some more teams that just gained some spots from other teams losing and then winning. Tennessee only drops 3 spots after getting demolished for the second week in a row, which was very surprising to me. Tulane goes up 1 spot. And we have 3 teams come into the rankings, being NC State at 22, Clemson at 24, go Tigers, and Liberty at 25. North Carolina, Utah, and Kansas all dropping after their losses this past weekend. But getting into last week, again, middle of the week, didn't have a lot of happening. Except for Washington State blowing Colorado out. But let's go ahead and get straight into Saturday. I know it's usually out of order here. It's by ranked teams, but because I'm logged into my ESPN account, Clemson and Appalachian State are always at the top. So that's why, if you're wondering why they're always at the top, that's why. Let's talk about it real quick. Clemson, we looked terrible in the first quarter, and then we looked really good in the second and third quarter, and then we kind of just held the ground in the fourth quarter. We are 3-0 now, I think, or 4-0 since I put up the Fire Dabo sign. So that's why it's still up if anybody wanted to know. But yeah, we look like a good football team again, surprisingly. But 7-4 means nothing to me personally as a Clemson fan if we don't win this upcoming weekend against South Carolina. Marion Hampton ran all over us, but we shut Drake May down. All to say there. Jacob, you want to talk about our boys up the mountain?
I mean, we both called it, did we not?
Yep.
An absolutely incredible game. I thought App choked it at the end when they converted that 4th and 18, but clutched up in overtime. App's probably going to go to the Sun Belt title game now, which is crazy the way that it started, but it's a resilient group of guys.
Yeah, for sure. A lot of fight up there from them. Like you said, there is a chance that we are going to the Sun Belt Championship game. It all comes down to this weekend. We need James Madison to win now. We need them to beat Coastal Carolina, and then we have to beat Georgia Southern, which I think that is feasible. But the other side of that, I'm not sure. I think James Madison and Coastal will be a good game because it's at Coastal. You want to keep going, man?
I mean, there's not a whole lot to talk about. Tennessee scored on the very first play from scrimmage in this game. After that, it was all Georgia. Georgia's offense is in such a groove right now. The defense seems to start to be figuring it out a little more, especially when it comes to stopping the run. It's Georgia's looking really scary right now. Neyland Stadium, Kirby Smart needs a statue outside of it. That's all I'm going to say.
For sure. Ohio State blows out Minnesota. Maryland, this game started out as, okay, Michigan's going to win by 40. But Maryland put up a little bit of a fight there, especially in the second half. They had a chance there towards the end, but they just couldn't convert 3rd downs, 4th downs. Michigan is good, but as you see here, again, they have a big week from Blake Corum, 28 carries. And only 94 yards, which when you look at 28 carries is not that much. But I just think that if you shut Blake Corum down, you got to make J.J. McCarthy beat you. And I think that's Michigan's weak point right now. Their defense is still really good. But Maryland is a good football team. They just have been playing a gauntlet over there in the Big Ten.
The funniest thing about that Maryland game is that they didn't lose by a touchdown. They lost by 2 safeties and a field goal.
Yeah, and that is true, which is crazy to say. Florida State, unfortunately, prayers up for him, lost Jordan Travis for the year.
Gruesome.
Yeah, really ugly injury. I mean, that really sucks for them. So now we're going to see what I think his name Tate Roadmaker.
I think so.
that's not how you pronounce it, I know, but that's just how I'm going to say it for now. But it all leans on him now the rest of their season. Great game right here. Great game. Michael Penix Jr. He had a good game, but this game was
pouring rain.
Yeah, this game it was pouring rain, and there was just a lot of like dropped balls that are put in their chest from both sides. From Oregon State and Washington side, there was dropped interceptions. But it was a great game. Washington kind of showed their strength. They went on the road to a really tough place to play in Corvallis, and they won the football game.
Yeah, incredible game. If you guys have ever played Madden, it was arcade mode. Was more or less what it was.
Yeah, a bunch of turnovers because of the rain. Oregon steamrolls Arizona State. Texas escapes over Iowa. I'm saying escapes because Iowa State was giving them a game. Like, they really were. But I don't think Iowa State's a bad football team by any means necessary. But it is also a tough place to play there. But Texas, I'm not in on them. I know they beat Alabama, and their losses to Oklahoma, we just looked at it back in the top 15, right?
Yeah.
They're like 12 or something like that. But I don't know. I don't want to see Texas in the playoffs. As a football fan, I don't want to see them in playoffs. It's not like anything against them. It's still horns down, but like I'm not trying to be biased like towards my Texas hate. I just don't think they'd be a fun team in the playoffs. I don't really think they can compete with anybody right now that would be in the playoffs. Alabama.
Yeah.
Missouri escapes Florida. It was a great game. Florida had some chances towards the end to capitalize and win this football game, and they just couldn't. Shout out to Missouri, not trying to take anything away from them. They won the game. They put up 30 points. Their offense was good, as you see. The leading passing rusher and receiver in this game were all Missouri players. Cody Strader, another big week. Luther Burden, another big week. Brady Cook, another big week. And Missouri kind of locks up their spot with a New Year's Six bowl, I think, with that win. Whereas if they would have lost, it would have been in question. Louisville beats Miami. It was a pretty good game. Watched, I think, the whole thing. But Louisville just gets another win. They just grinded out another win, and now it's in front of them. You beat Kentucky this week in the rivalry game, and you've got a chance to become an one-loss ACC champion with a win over an undefeated Florida State, and you've got somewhat of an argument there. Somewhat of an argument.
They would need a lot.
I know. They still need a lot to happen. We've discussed that. They need a lot to happen, but yeah, I think there's a real chance that they're going to have a legitimate argument. At worst, they're probably getting a New Year's Six bowl, probably. Penn State beats Rutgers. No, didn't watch any of it. Yeah, keep going. Oklahoma beats BYU. I'm not sure what's up with Dylan Gabriel, though. I think he got hurt and had to come out of this game, if I remember correctly. But I'm not sure what his status is going into this weekend, or potentially going into the Big 12 title game if they make it. LSU, Jaden Daniels makes another big case for Heisman. 8 total touchdowns, ties Joe Burrow's record, right? Yeah. No. Yeah.
Yeah.
Over 500 total yards. Come on, man. Iowa escapes Illinois. They were down in this game. They were. Illinois kind of got some offense going against Iowa. Surprisingly, they only put up 13 points, but they had some offense going. But Iowa escapes with another close win against a Big Ten opponent. And they locked their spot up in the Big Ten title game. Arizona steamrolled Utah. I didn't watch this game, but man, big statement win for the Wildcats and keeps them alive. It keeps them alive for the Pac-12 championship game. A little flying under the radar there from the
I would not want to see them if I'm anybody right now. Arizona's playing really good football.
Rolling right now, yeah. Notre Dame dominates Wake Forest. Kansas State beats Kansas in the Kansas rivalry game. This was another good game, honestly. And Kansas State is yes, still alive in the Big 12. Chance to go to the Big 12 title game still. Oklahoma State beats Houston. Now, Oklahoma State, if I'm correct, talking about the Big 12 title game, right now holds the key for that second spot.
They do, yeah. So if they win this week, they will be in.
Yeah, for sure. But Oklahoma State, after a big embarrassing loss to UCF last week, comes out and beats Houston. Tulane, yeah.
Kobe.
Facts. I didn't even notice that. And then I don't really think there's much else. Southern Cal got embarrassed by UCLA, but it was not. And a lot of people, it really made me mad on Twitter, were like, Caleb Williams is so bad. But if you watch this game, not one of this was anything on Caleb Williams. Yes, he threw one pick, but that's it. I mean, there was multiple fumbles, just a lot of this. Southern Cal is a bad football team aside from Caleb Williams. NC State escapes with a win over Virginia Tech.
Auburn.
Yeah. Auburn, yeah. And I can't remember if I said it on the episode last week, but I had it written down in my notebook, which I know y'all can't see it. But when every week when I go to pick my super dog up here at the top, you can see it for this week kind of right here. I write like teams down that I like as I'm going through the scoreboard. And last week I'd actually wrote New Mexico State down because it was 24. And I was like, they're really not a bad football team. I expected them to maybe play Auburn close, but I did not expect them to win by 3 scores at all. Tough loss for Auburn, but I wonder if it's one of those things again where Auburn's looking ahead to this week and they thought, oh, we're playing New Mexico State, whatever. New Mexico State's in the Conference USA Championship game against Liberty next week, so interesting for them. Texas Tech, UCF, yeah. That's really it. Wisconsin got bowl eligible in overtime. That was a fun game to watch the end of. Okay, so, well, with that being said, let's move into our Heisman portion like we usually do every week, just real quick. Nothing really in my rankings changed from last week. I just flip-flop Bo Nix and Carson Beck at 3 and 4. So Carson Beck's at 4 now. Bo Nix is at 3. And I took Marvin Harrison Jr. out. He didn't really do a whole lot the other day. I put Blake Corum in. I know that the stats, like I showed y'all earlier, weren't really there last week, but he has meant a lot to that Michigan offense. So I think with them continuing to win, I think he is a candidate. I still do have Jaden Daniels at number 1, though.
I've got Daniels at 2. I've still got Penix at 1. They're undefeated, and he just hasn't given me a reason to take him out of 1. So I'm going to leave Penix at 1. I've got Daniels 2, Bo Nix still got at 3, Carson Beck 4, and I've still got Maserati Marv at 5.
All right. Well, we're going to move into our pick'ems, and we're just going to kind of scroll through the board here and pick some games. So I want to start tomorrow. We're recording on Wednesday. I plan on uploading this later tonight, so it's still on Wednesday. Tomorrow, Thursday, Thanksgiving, the Egg Bowl, Ole Miss at Mississippi State. Mississippi State is Ole Miss is -10. What are you gonna go with here?
I like Ole Miss in this game to win. I think Mississippi State is just a reeling team at this point, especially without their head coach. I also like Ole Miss to cover here, and Ole Miss keeps their New Year's Six bowl hopes alive.
I'm gonna follow suit with you there. I'm gonna go the same thing. Ole Miss -10, win and cover for sure. Update last week, I have officially secured my season win last week, defeating Jacob 11.5 to 10. I moved to 6 and 3 on the year. Jacob's 3 and 6. For anybody keeping track of records, like I am. All right, Friday. We got some good games Friday. Let's start here. TCU defending national runner-ups, fighting for bowl eligibility now at Oklahoma. Oklahoma is -10. I feel like I need to look real quick. I need to make sure Dylan Gabriel is playing or not before I pick this one.
I do not. Oklahoma with a win here. could still make a New Year's Six bowl game, especially if some things happen in front of them. I think they're still playing for something out there, create some momentum before they come in the SEC. And Oklahoma State loses, they're in the Big 12 title game, or if Texas loses.
Yeah.
Uh, so I think Oklahoma is going to be fired up. I think they're going to win. I think they're going to cover.
Yeah. I'm not really seeing anything right now, so I'm not gonna worry about it. I think, yeah, I think I'm gonna have to take Oklahoma win and cover also. That's what you took, right? Sorry.
Yeah.
Just wanted to make sure. Yeah, big chance for Oklahoma this weekend to make a little bit more noise than they could. Um,
Oh my God, that over under is 25.5.
taking the under. That's insane. Let's continue on Friday. We have two really big games on Friday though, and this is one of the two. So, this game right here, UTSA and Tulane, is a big game for a few teams. Being the two teams in play. No, actually, it's not because SMU beat Memphis, so
Yep.
it's not. It's not. It's actually not. Okay, so the winner of this game, though, UTSA and Tulane, will be playing in the American Championship against SMU. Is
Okay.
pretty sure. But this is big for Tulane because right now they still currently hold the highest ranked Group of Five team. So this holds New Year's Six bowl implications big time. UTSA is at Tulane. Tulane is -3.5. I'm gonna take Tulane at home. 3.5. Everybody, if you watched the show before, you know how I am with small spreads. I'm gonna take Tulane to cover also.
Yeah, I'm following suit here. I think it's going to be a really good game, potentially really high scoring game. But I also like Tulane, and fingers crossed for Tulane to win because I don't think anybody wants to see Liberty in the New Year's Six bowl.
Hey, SMU's right there though. Don't sleep on SMU.
Hey,
In
yeah.
my opinion, right now, I know Liberty is ranked currently. In my opinion, right now, though, I think whoever wins the American ends up getting that spot.
What if Toledo's 11 or 12-1, but they're only lost to Ohio State?
There's a chance. There's a chance for them. There's a chance. Um, and we're gonna skip over here to this game's also big in the Mountain West. Because the winner goes to the championship. I'm pretty sure. Let's go here to Texas Tech at Texas. Texas is -14.
Texas has just been struggling so much lately. I don't think Texas Tech is the spot where they lose, but you're giving me 14 points. I'm going to take Texas Tech to cover, but Texas to win.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to keep doing this, but I think I'm gonna have to take the same one here. I think if this game was at Texas Tech, I think we'd have a different conversation. I think I could consider actually picking Texas Tech to get the upset. However, I just think 14 is a lot. I think Texas wins at home, but I don't think they win by more than 14 points. I'm into the second big game I alluded to a minute ago over here in the Pac-12, Oregon State at Oregon. So I think I said something about it earlier. This game is really big for Oregon more than Oregon State, really. The reason being is if Oregon is to lose this game and Arizona is to beat Arizona State this weekend, there's one thing that needs to happen, and I can't remember exactly what it is, but it involves Southern Cal finishing higher than another team in the conference, and I can't remember exactly who it is. But if that was to happen, then Arizona would go to the Pac-12 championship instead of Oregon. But however, anyways, going back to picking the game, Oregon State is at Oregon, and Oregon is -14. And because I love chaos, I'm gonna pick Oregon State in the upset here.
Yeah, I thought about doing it too. Oregon State is a really good football team, and losing back-to-back games, I don't know. I don't know if I see that happening, but I just think Oregon's playing too good of football. Even though this would be their best win of the year by far, I'm still going to take Oregon to win here, and honestly, to cover.
14?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. All right. Moving to Saturday, talked about it earlier. Georgia Southern at App wins, Coastal loses. App is in the Sun Belt Championship. You can pick this game if you want to, but you know how I feel about it. I'm not picking this game. Even though we probably should. But yeah. You want to save it for last?
Yeah.
All right, we'll skip Ohio State, Michigan. We'll come back to it. Also kicking off at 12 this weekend, Kentucky at Louisville. Big game for Louisville because I think I alluded to this also earlier. A win and then a win next week. There's somewhat of a case there with a lot of happening in front of them. Louisville's at home -7. I've been on it all year. I don't think Kentucky's that good, and that might come back to bite me right now because Kentucky could go out and win this game, and then I look stupid. But I don't think Kentucky's that good. I'm gonna take Louisville to win and cover.
Yeah, I think for Kentucky, Ray Davis, the running back, is going to have a huge day against Louisville. I think he'll go over 100 yards, but I don't think it's going to be enough. I think Louisville is going to score the ball. I see Louisville winning by 7-10, so I've got them winning and covering also.
Yeah, Mark Fletcher, is that his name? Mark Fletcher for Miami's running back. Either way, he had a big game last week against Louisville, so I wouldn't be surprised if Ray Davis does have a big game on Saturday. This is a game. Texas A&M firing Jimbo Fisher, even though they're 7-4, is at LSU. LSU, I guess, in reality, has an outside shot. Again, this is another one of those things where they need some stuff to happen from. I feel like they have an outside shot in the New Year's Six bowl game still, honestly.
Yeah, very small.
Yeah, big game for them. They're at home -11.5. I'm gonna take LSU to win, but I'm gonna actually take A&M to cover.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. LSU's defense can't stop a nosebleed. A&M's got athletes. I like LSU by 10.
Reasonable for sure. And then moving on, I said it right before we started recording. Looking at this, these are two teams that I really thought were going to be good this year, and I was just so wrong. It sucks. Let's see. Let's go. Navy at SMU is interesting. 3:30. There it is. All right. Bama at Auburn, Iron Bowl. We've seen it happen before. But will we see it happen again? Jacob, what's your pick? Alabama -14.5.
Alabama's playing some of the best football in the country right now. However, Auburn has seen two top 10 teams come into Jordan-Hare this year. Both have only won by 7 points. That's Georgia and Ole Miss. I think Alabama wins the game. I think Auburn covers 14.5.
And for the 18th time today, I'm following suit here. I'm going to take Alabama to win, but I am also going to take Auburn to cover 14.5. I think that's just too much. BYU at Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State holds the keys right now, a win, and they are in the Big 12 championship. They are at home -17. BYU fighting for bowl eligibility. I'm going to take Oklahoma State to win, but I'm going to take BYU to cover 17. They've failed me about 8 times this year, but hopefully they come through this time.
Yeah, I'm going to pick them to fail you again. I've got Oklahoma State winning and covering. I think they've just got too much to play for.
It's reasonable. It's reasonable.
This game, and then they go to the Big 12 title game. And that will be interesting.
And then let's go down here. See, now this is I love this. This is always fun. Like you've got Illinois and Minnesota. They're both at home, but they need to win to get to a bowl game. I just love that. But then they're also playing teams that are 6-5. Just it's gonna be good football. It really is. Big game, big implications. JMU at Coastal, 3:30 on Saturday on ESPN2. JMU on the road is -8. Who are you going to go with here?
Yeah, call me biased, but Coastal Carolina's been on a big-time slide as of late. I like James Madison to win and cover.
So I'm going to do the same. I'm still not sure on Grayson McCall's status. He hasn't played the last couple games. And then they put in their backup quarterback, and he got hurt also. So they've been down to the third string quarterback, I'm pretty sure, the past few games. And they've still won some. It's going to be a tough atmosphere for JMU to walk into and just win the game. I don't think it'll be a blowout, but I don't think it's going to be super close either. Well, wait. Anyways, JMU is going to win and cover, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's only like a 10-point game.
Yeah.
Washington State at Washington at 4:00. Washington is at home minus 16.5. What do you got?
I've got Washington with the win, Washington State with the cover. I think Cam Ward has a big day through the air.
And unfortunately, I am going the same. I think 16.5 is too much, in my opinion.
Washington a potential look ahead spot also.
But
Pac-12 title game.
that is true. Given the train moving, this might be a good football game randomly.
Yeah.
Here we go. 7:00. ESPN. We've talked about it a lot. We talked about this, and I'm gonna go and put it out there for my side, and I'm pretty sure Jacob is gonna, say the same or disagree with me. We've talked about this for weeks, and I'm not making this pick based off of Florida State losing Georgia Travis. I've said it for weeks. Jacob said it for weeks. We think it's a hot take, but Florida State at Florida minus 6.5. I'm taking Florida in the upset in the Swamp.
Yeah. Even when Jordan Travis was healthy, we were saying this. I don't even know if Graham Mertz is healthy in this game. But I just think this atmosphere is going to be too much for Florida State, especially with a backup quarterback. I think Florida's going to be able to run the football. I just like Florida in the upset. Got to get the bowl eligibility.
Yeah. Yeah, they're fighting for a lot. Florida is. Graham Mertz is an interesting point I didn't think about either. I will say this though, about Florida State is they could have a big statement win though if they go out there and they blow Florida out.
Oh yeah.
That would be a huge statement win for Florida State. I think it'd be big for them. And then let's do your boys over here. Georgia at Georgia Tech.
Georgia hasn't lost at Georgia Tech this century. Georgia will definitely win the game. I've got Georgia covering. They've covered the 24 line against two ranked opponents back to back. I wouldn't be surprised if Tech covers. But I like Georgia to win and cover here for the 12th week in a row.
Just for fun here, because we've had 18,000 of the same picks. I'm gonna take UGA to win, and I'm gonna take Georgia Tech to cover. Why not? Why not? Georgia Tech's been playing better football this year. I'll give it to them. Let's go. I think these are the last two I wanted to pick that I remember they are. And then we'll go back to Michigan, Ohio State, Iowa State at Kansas State. Iowa State 6-5, but said it earlier. I think they're still a good football team. They're on the road at Kansas State. They are minus 10. I'm gonna have to take Kansas State to win, I think, but I'm gonna take Iowa State to cover.
Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing. I can't pick Iowa State to win another game.
They're joining that Penn State category for you, huh?
Just for now. They're improving.
All right. And then a newly ranked team, NC State Wolfpack at home against a team that fell out of the rankings in UNC. The line is at 2.5. UNC is minus 2.5. I think I know where you're going. So let me go in here real quick.
Yeah, I'm taking the Pack outright in this one. I just think NC State's playing better football. I think they're a better all-around football team. So, especially with them being at home, give me NC State.
Yeah. NC State, this atmosphere will be electric, 100%. I know, well, a night game in Carter Finley, they love this there. NC State's playing really good football right now. NC State's had North Carolina's number the past few years. But I'm going to take UNC to win this game and cover, actually. Now, I think it's a very close win for UNC. But I just feel like UNC is going to go out there. This is probably Drake May's last game in all reality in college. and as a Tar Heel, obviously. I think that they want to just win one for him, maybe. I don't know. That sounds cliche, but I just think they're going to go out there, going to win this football game and improve to 9-3. And then going back to it, said we're going to save the best for last, and I guess we are. 12 o'clock, which is fun, but it's not fun at the same time. This is one of those games I wish it was at night. But we're starting the day out with a bang. Everybody in the world's attention is going to be on it. You see it right here. Tickets as low as $400 in Ann Arbor. The Buckeyes at the Wolverines, Michigan, -3. What are you going to do, Jacob?
Look, Michigan and Ohio State, both undefeated. They play very similar brands of football. And as much as this hurts me to do, I think Ohio State wins. I think Ohio State's playing better football. I think they've got more matchup advantages, especially with Marvin Harrison Jr. I think they limit the big plays. I think without Jim Harbaugh, especially, that Ohio State will win the game.
Yeah. Michigan's owned this rivalry for the past, 3 years now, right?
2 years.
2 years. They walked into Ohio State last year and beat them pretty significantly, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
But I don't think Ohio State does the same. I don't think Ohio State walks into the big house and wins this game. Michigan, they're going to be absolutely electric. No Jim Harbaugh. You're saying no Jim Harbaugh is a hurting thing for Michigan. I think it's a helping thing for Michigan. I think the crowd, I think the players are going to be into it way bigger than they would if Jim Harbaugh was on the sideline. I'm gonna have to take Michigan to win and cover 3. Sorry, it's like storming outside my house right now, so it's interesting. I'm gonna take Michigan to win and cover. All right, so I had the stats last week and I forgot to do them this week, but I love seeing how many like games there are for bowl eligibility. I didn't look into any of that, but we'll be fine. All right. Our last 3 segments per usual, and our second to last time doing these this year. My super dog this week, I improved to 7 for 8 last week with Memphis covering 8.5. They lost by 4. Jacob improved to 6 of 8 last week with App +9 at JMU. Jacob, I already know what your is, but tell the people what your super dog is this week.
Yeah, we picked the game already. I'm going to go with Auburn as my super dog, +14.5 against Alabama.
Yeah, sure. And then also mine is also a game that we picked. I'm taking Iowa State +10 at Kansas State, even though I picked Kansas State to win the game. I've done that a few times this year. I mean, I think I've hit every single time, so why not try my luck one more time there? Biggest spread of the week. Last week, it was Ole Miss -37 versus UL Monroe. They actually did not hit. They won by 32. We both took Ole Miss to cover, which we were wrong. I'm currently sitting at 5.5 out of 8, while Jacob is at 5 out of 8. So this is a big week for Jacob. Biggest spread this week is Vanderbilt at Tennessee. Tennessee is -27. What are you going to take, Jacob?
No, you go ahead.
You want to take whatever I'm not going to take? Well, luckily I've already written it down, I promise. I have it written down right here. I'm taking Tennessee to cover.
Damn it. I will take Vanderbilt to cover.
And listen,
some Nico in this game.
Huh?
Might see some Nico Yamaleava in at quarterback in this game for Tennessee.
Yep. Listen, man, I respect the
I had to.
chance, eh? All right. And then hot takes. Jacob last week. 2 or more unranked teams will beat ranked teams this week. One did, and Clemson beat UNC. However, Jacob could not get that second one. So he was wrong. He moves to 1 out of 7, while I'm at 2.5 out of 7. I had Travis Hunter getting a receiving touchdown and a pick 6. He got a receiving touchdown very early. However, they only scored 1 more touchdown after that the rest of the game, and it was not a Travis Hunter pick 6. So I was also wrong. I'm at 2.5 out of 7. Jacob at 1 out of 7. Jacob, you got a hot take this week?
If you have one, I can come up with one. I don't have one yet.
I don't either. And I never hit on stats, but I think I'm going to go stats again this week, actually. I had thought about it a little bit. And so I'm going to do it now. However, the problem is I don't know if this person is going to play this week. And that's where my problem lies. It was going to be about Graham Mertens. So I think I'm going to pivot. I'm going to double down. And sorry to our NC State fans. Sorry to our boy Riley Ledford out there. But I'm going to take Drake May over 350 total yards and 3 or more total touchdowns.
Yeah, don't listen to him. Riley State's got it. I think I'm gonna double down too. Marvin Harrison goes 150 and 2 touchdowns against Michigan in a Buckeyes win.
Say that one more time for me real quick.
I said Marvin Harrison goes for 150 and 2 touchdowns in an Ohio State win at the Big House. And I cannot believe that I am rooting for Ohio State.
How sad are you going to be if Marvin Harrison Jr. has 150 and 2 touchdowns and they don't win? However, if he has that, they're probably going to win. All right, cool. Well,
last thing. Playoff prediction right now.
Right now. Man, I'm really torn in this Georgia-Alabama situation because I don't know where I want to go with that yet still. And there's just so many possible scenarios, man. There's
so many chaos scenarios.
I mean, there's a legitimate chance where we're sitting there with well, no, that's not possible. I was going to say there's a legitimate chance where we're sitting there with like 8, 12-1 teams, and 5 of them are conference champions. But that's not possible because Michigan or Ohio State, that wouldn't be the case. However, we could be. Oh, we could.
It could go 12-1 Washington, 12-1 Oregon, 12-1 Texas, 12-1 Alabama, 12-1 Georgia, 12-1 Florida State, 12-1 Louisville.
12-1 Michigan, 12-1. I mean, it's insane.
12-1 Michigan, 13-0 Ohio State.
Yeah. I'm gonna go. Georgia's just playing really good right now. I'm gonna go Georgia. I'm gonna follow suit with Michigan with my prediction of Michigan winning. However, I do think winner of Michigan, Ohio State, whoever it ends up being, gets that second spot. I'm gonna go Washington. They're playing really good right now. And then I'm gonna go with this is where it gets tricky. I'm gonna go with shocker, hot take, loser of Ohio State, Michigan.
Okay. I'm gonna go Georgia. I'm going to go Ohio State in the 2. I'm going to go Oregon in the 3, Texas in the 4.
For sure. And it is pouring outside my house right now. I don't know if it.
Well, that's just great. That means it'll be here any minute.
Laptops, the microphone's picking that up. But yeah, we appreciate y'all watching. Last week of regular season, we appreciate the support all year. And we'll see y'all next week for Conference Championship Week. Peace.